Hi, I'm Charles with Anycap. Previously, Bai was accepted as a disciple to become an immortal. In the immortal realm, Bai would discover that his chosen walk is able to double the power of anything he puts in it. However, he loses some lifespan when he does. Later, Bai heads to the bloodstream sector in search of the relic of eternity. He wears a disguise to conceal his identity and eventually refines an ultra-rare grade 5 pill that is fought over. A patriarch of the bloodstream sector would arrive soon after and explain that they will soon begin the Bloodmaster trial. The story continues as Jun explains to Bai, who is still disguised as Yi Zhang, that she will be going into closed-door cultivation to prepare for the Bloodmaster trial. 3 days from now though, the Unchanging Bone will be summoned and the sector's legacy resuscitated. The ceremony is complicated and grand, so the sector would never use it unless it was absolutely necessary. The Unchanging Bone is only summoned as a last resort, which makes it clear that the patriarchs are determined to go to war with the Spirit Stream sector. 3 days later, Hanyan speaks from the sky and explains that he is in charge of the summoning ceremony. He asks all the disciples to give everything they have to the sector and instructs them to release their blood key. Everyone from all the peaks do just that, and their combined blood key is used to open the blood gate. The gate appears above the clouds, and Hanyan explains that he now needs 9 chosen disciples to assist by meditating on the blood altar. Song, Su Mei, and Shan are some of the chosen he picks, and the final chosen disciple is Yi Zhang. They all arrive at the gate, and everyone is surprised to see how much Yi Zhang has grown. Shan greets his old friend but gets distracted when he sees Song, who is finally out of confinement. Yi Zhang innocently asks Song what he did to get punished, but he is too enraged to answer. Yi Zhang looks around to see that the others are elites just like him, that have also earned the trust of the patriarchs. Hanyan explains that the first step of the ceremony will awaken the peak guardian spirits of the 4 peaks. They begin as a bright light covers the sky, and Hanyan instructs everyone to witness the power of their bloodstream sector's legacy that strikes terror in the other 3 sectors. Just then, Bai is shocked as his undying power activates by itself, and he notices that the pressure he feels is comparable to a nascent soul-staged patriarch. The Unchanging Bone appears before them as it is the first peak guardian spirit. Its corpse peaks supreme treasure, and it's wrapped in lightning and dead ki, with power comparable to the nascent soul stage. Black smoke appears before them, and spectators wonder why the demon is so big since it's never happened before. The smoke then becomes Nameless Peak's Peak Guardian, the Thousand-Faced Demon. Middle Peak's Blood Ancestor Sword arrives next, and Lesser March Peak's Totem Cloth is the last to be summoned. They are the Bloodstream Sector's 4 great Peak Guardian spirits, and all have power comparable to the Nascent Soul stage. With the 4 Guardians there, the sector's legacy is now able to emerge. It is the Bloodstream Night Puppet that has evil and terrifying power comparable to the mid to late Nascent Soul stage. The Night Puppet shines a light upon the chosen, and they are taken somewhere. Bai believes it to just be an illusion and is surprised by an attack by none other than himself. It isn't quite himself though, and we see that the other chosen are experiencing the same thing. The patriarchs wonder who will be the first to break out, and we return to watch Bai's battle. Bai has a difficult time gaining the upper hand, as he and his other self mimic each other's moves perfectly. He thinks about how the evil energy in the place is too overwhelming to break out, and determines that he must use an extreme move. His counterpart continues its aggressive attack, but Bai stops it and explains that only the real Bai takes a hit to deal a killing blow. Bai finally finishes off his evil self and finds that he is the first to break out. The patriarchs are once again amazed by Yi Zhang, as he broke out of the illusion faster than both Su Mei and Song. Moments later, the others break out as well, and Hanyan explains that what they just saw was one of the Bloodstream Sector's legacies. Next is the Blood Sacrifice, where the 9 chosen will transform refined ki into blood to awaken the Unchanging Bone. Doing so will cause the other 3 Guardian Spirits to awaken on their own, and unlock the Blood Eye Sealed World. The chosen begin the transformation, and Bai thinks about how they will have to use a Blood Sector technique that allows them to use themselves as a refining instrument. This method is used to construct a blood drop from their bodies. Bai, however, has the undying power, and using it to refine undying blood instead will allow him to achieve results faster. Su Mei surprises the elders with how quickly she has made the first drop, and compliment her for also making it so pure. The Unchanging Bone is given the drop, but the elder states that they still need 8 more. Bai thinks about how he will be done soon as well, but realizes that he shouldn't be so eager since he is really a member of the spirit stream sector. This being the case, he determines that with such an abundance of blood ki around, it would be best if he kept some for himself to increase his own cultivation. He looks at the other chosen to see that they are taking too long, and realizes that they are keeping blood ki for themselves already. He thinks it's disgusting that they would do that, and he praises himself for at least waiting. Bai reminds himself that he is a spy, so he should try to blend in with the crowd, and immediately begins taking in ki for himself. Of course, Song hates to see that and states that Bai isn't as good as him when it comes to absorbing blood ki. Yizang says that he wants to humble him a bit and begins to absorb even more blood ki. Song refuses to back down, and Sumei's father, Patriarch Wuji, wonders why she hasn't taken action. Sumei explains that she isn't willing to fight either of them, and points out that their ruthless competitiveness even during the ceremony is truly disgraceful. She confidently states that even if they manage to increase their strength from this, they still won't pose a threat to her in the Bloodmaster trial. Wuji lets it go, but tells the other patriarchs that if they don't at least issue a warning to them, then the ceremony will be hindered. Hanyan states that he originally wanted them to use the blood ki to increase their cultivation level, but points out that Yizang has absorbed more blood ki than anyone, but not even a trace of it is contained in his blood drop. Because of the two rivals, the others can't absorb blood ki, so Shan begs them to stop. Wuji is furious to see such an arrogant disregard for others, but Patriarch Song has yet to give his opinion. The two continue their struggle for more blood ki, and Bai decides that he will condense the 5th Savage Ghost with one burst of effort. He does it, and everyone is shocked to see that even though he had condensed 90% of the blood drop, he absorbed it back by force. They think he is a lunatic for absorbing the absolute most he could, and everyone is startled when they sense strange movement by the unchanging bone. This is not good, as it is seemingly upset, so Hanyan tells all the chosen to have their blood drops completed by sunset. There are no exceptions, and anyone who doesn't will be severely punished by him. Sunset approaches rapidly as we see that the chosen have continued the ceremony. All the others have worked extremely hard and finally turn in their blood drops, but we see that Bai is busy cultivating the 5th Savage Ghost. He manages to finish forming it and declares that he can now work on the blood drop. They are all waiting for him to finish, but Bai is still hesitant. He realizes that awakening the unchanging bone is what will start the war with his spirit stream sector, and he wonders how many of his fellow disciples will die at its hands. Bai doesn't want to just hand it over, but Hainan explains the deadline is approaching, and Bai comes up with an idea that he isn't so sure will work. Bai turns in the blood drop he formed, but also inserts a tiny bit of his undying blood. He assumes that it won't be detected since his undying blood is authentic, and everyone else's is an imitation. Bai hopes that even if Hanyan can detect the difference, he will just assume that Yizang worked harder on it. Furthermore, Yizang has the blood ancestral reversion, and this should help disguise it as well. Bai waits nervously, but is relieved to see that Hanyan allows it to pass to the unchanging bone. Everyone watches the Guardian with great anticipation for its awakening, but are shocked to see that something is wrong. Nothing seems to come of it as it releases a burst of energy, and Bai is amazed to see just how powerful it is. The unchanging bone disappears into the sky, and Bai is once again taken somewhere. In another realm, a voice calls out to Bai and tells him to search for the person behind the voice. A pulsating force brings him back to reality, where Shan wonders if he is okay, making Bai realize that he must have been the only one to see the illusion. The ceremony is over, and the patriarchs announce that Middle Peak's Bloodmaster trial will be held in 1 month. Bai thinks about how this means he will have the Relic of Eternity in just 1 more month, and he will be able to return to the Spirit Stream sector as himself. Other chosen are confident that Song will help his sister be the winner of the trials, but others point out how Sumei is already at the peak realm of Earthly Vein Foundation establishment. Song ignores all the bickering and simply asks that Yizang visit him the next day. The next day, Yizang arrives at Song's house to meet with him and wonders what is so urgent. Song explains that if it weren't for his sister's orders, then Yizang would never be allowed into the Song family's important base. They finally arrive and are greeted by people that Bai recognizes as elites who are direct descendants of the Song family. They aren't able to speak much though, as Song explains that he brought everyone there to share important information about the Bloodmaster trial. There isn't much time left, so he begins by explaining the rules. The Bloodmaster trial has 3 rounds. Candidates from both sides will each take dozens of guardians into the trial. The only duty of a guardian is to do their best to escort the respective leader into the Blood Ancestor heart chamber. They must do it before the other party to seize the blood crystal and become the Bloodmaster. In the first round, the Blood Ancestor's approval has to be obtained. Based on past trials, this part usually eliminates half of the guardians, and he reveals that death is actually a common occurrence. In the second round, everyone must fight for resources so that they can have the winning advantage in the next round. During this time, guardians from both sides will fight, even to the extent of death. The final round will be a straight path towards the heart chamber. Song demands that at this time, no matter who is still alive, they must not spare any cost to obstruct the enemy, so that the Grand Elder can enter the heart chamber first to obtain the blood crystal. Song then shares information about the other party. He starts with Jia Li, who is most likely to be the last guardian Sumei picks. He has a reputation for his bravery, and his mid-level foundation establishment is near perfect. He is not to be taken lightly, and we watch as he spars with Sumei. Song reveals 2 other guardians of Sumei in Zhongyun and Wu, who have both reached late-stage foundation establishment. Bai thinks about how dangerous they seem, but recalls having heard of someone even more powerful in their party. He is correct, as Song reveals the person they need to pay attention to the most, named King. Back near Sumei, Wu and Zhang Yang discuss how Yi Zhang will be one of the guardians, and acknowledge him as being cunning and resourceful. Besides the plague demon Yi Zhang, Zhang Yang explains that there is also Song to worry about. He isn't too worried though, as he states that they still have their strongest member, but is surprised to see that he isn't there. Just then, Jia Li becomes frustrated to be losing his fight against Sumei, and unleashes an uncontrolled attack, but it is quickly stopped by King. Song explains that King reached foundation establishment 100 years ago, but for unknown reasons up until now, he has yet to achieve core formation. Song believes King could achieve it whenever he pleases, and Bai thinks about how King must be suppressing his power just for the Bloodmaster trial. Jia Li apologizes for losing control, but is elated to hear that Sumei has selected him as her final guardian. King explains that Master Wuji has already laid out a perfect plan, and Sumei's path to victory is guaranteed. Song reiterates that their group can't be careless, but one of the guardians believe they have nothing to worry about since they have Yi Zhang on their side. He states that Yi Zhang is only a tiny bit weaker than King, but explains that Yi Zhang has also achieved so much more. The other guardians plan to leave King to him, but Bai realizes they are trying to trick him, and he thinks about how he has played these games before. Yi Zhang explains that he cannot bear such a burden, since a mid-stage cultivator defeating someone near the core stage is unheard of. He takes full responsibility for shamefully not having a strong enough cultivation, and not being able to create a miracle. However, he has thought of someone else to do it, and selects Zen. Yi Zhang expresses great confidence in him, as he explains that he is best suited to fight King, since he is at late stage foundation establishment. He also points out Song as another candidate to fight him, and says that they must do everything they can for the Song family. Elsewhere, Sumei is told that the Blood Ancestor is already in eternal sleep, but there are still some restrictions in his body. It's impossible to enter by force, but Sumei is given a pill to help with her mission. Back nearby, we see that he is practicing his 6 Savage Ghost technique, and is glad to see that in a month he has finally mastered it. Jun barges in and assumes that Yi Zhang has already been updated on the trial. Yi Zhang wonders if becoming Bloodmaster is so important to her that it has caused her to be so breathless. Jun explains that for many years, the Middle Peak has always been under the control of the Song family. Generations of Bloodmasters were the chosen from the Song family. However, this year, because of a trade, Sumei was granted the right to fight for the Bloodmaster. The trade was made for information on the heavenly path of foundation establishment, but unfortunately Song failed to achieve it. Sumei managed to reach earthly foundation establishment though, so Jun is the only one with a chance to defeat her now. She pleads for Yi Zhang to help her achieve her goal, and promises to recommend him as the next Grand Elder afterwards. This way, a lot of matters between them will no longer be impossible. Yi Zhang promises to be at the Bloodmaster Hall for her the next morning, but points out that the relationship between them doesn't require any conditions. The next day, all the participants arrive at the Bloodmaster Hall, and both sides do a lot of trash talking. Sume explains her intentions to win the position of Bloodmaster and asks that June give up now rather than throw her life away. June promises to humble Sume as she believes that she is speaking far too arrogantly. Sume has no interest in listening to her and explains that June is already at a disadvantage since she is short one guardian. Song explains that it doesn't matter as they will win anyway, just as the patriarchs arrive. Wooji points out how the Song family has controlled the Middle Peak for far too long, and it's time for a change. Patriarch Song warns that he not be overconfident, as Hanyan is astonished to see that they are already bickering. He then points out that June's party seems to be missing a person, and Wooji explains how hard it must be to find a chosen willing to sacrifice themselves for a lost cause. Just then, Yizang arrives wearing the legendary Blood Warrior robe forged for him, and spectators are amazed to see the artifact that is able to resist an attack from a Core Foundation expert. Just then, we get a glimpse of when Jolly was told that Yizang would be his greatest opponent, and given an item that will help him clear all obstacles in the trial. Jolly thanks the man, who explains that he is on good terms with Wooji, and we shockingly see that this man is Patriarch Hanyan. All the participants are now accounted for, and Wooji determines that the Song family must have gone through great pains to recruit Yizang. Hanyan can understand why they would want him on their team, as there hasn't been an apothecary master in the blood sector in some time. With Yizang around, the sector will no longer have any shortcomings. Yizang and Song must be stopped from arguing, as the patriarchs explain how serious the trial is. It's a competition between families, but it also concerns the future of the Middle Peak and the sector. Hanyan asks that everyone do their best, and the Blood Sector Middle Peak trial finally begins. The patriarchs work together to create a fissure in the ground, and June explains that once you enter, it will be the first round of the trial called the Endless Blood World. She warns that while he will have to fight other guardians, there will also be countless murderous blood beasts that will need to be fought as well. June finishes her speech by stating how good a test it will be for them all. Sume only states that her party should focus on obstructing the enemy, and both contestants ask that their team kill without mercy. Guardians begin rushing in as June explains that she will await them in the second round after they are victorious. Yizang heads inside as well and confidently tells her not to worry as he will make sure they win. As Bai falls into the fissure, he remembers what he was told by June. She reminded him that the blood sector was built on a hand extending out of the heaven-reaching river. All the techniques of the sector were created from researching this giant hand. For this reason, they named the giant the Blood Ancestor. By following the blood vessels into the heart chamber, one can obtain the heart blood crystal corresponding to the Middle Peak and acquire the approval of the Blood Ancestor. Doing so will mean gaining the power of the blood key that can shake a peak and subdue a peak's worth of cultivators. It means becoming the Bloodmaster. As the Guardians descend, Bai questions how what they are going through could be considered a trial, since everyone is clearly just being eaten. Song explains that the blood orbs only allow one guardian from each side to enter, and all of Sume's guardians have gone inside already. The orbs will suck in any one of them that is closest to it. Inside the blood orbs there is a mountain of will. The first to reach the top of the mountain and take over the will of the world is the winner. Song tells Yizang to win so that he doesn't embarrass the Song family and heads into one of the blood orbs, but embarrassingly is not sucked in. None of June's other guardians get sucked in either, and Song is shocked to see that all the blood orbs are gathering around Yizang. The orbs have never behaved this abnormally before, and Yizang must explain that he hasn't done anything. He chooses one to enter and finds himself in a place called the Endless Blood World. Just then, Bai sees the Mountain of Will in the distance and can sense that it appears to be calling out to him. Elsewhere in the same world, someone is attacked by a beast, and we see that Yizang's opponent is Jolly. Despite the random transport, Jolly explains that he was brought exceptionally close to the Mountain of Will, and he wonders how lucky he can be. He states that his opponent is even luckier, since he will be able to take the Mountain of Will without having to kill him. Just then, the ground begins to shake as Jolly makes it to safety, but he is stunned to see that the ground was actually a ferocious blood beast. Jolly apologizes profusely as he realizes that this creature couldn't even be fought off by a Foundation establishment cultivator, and it luckily calms down. He is unsure of how to handle this situation, so he decides to find and kill the Song Guardian in this world with him. However, he doesn't even get the chance to move, as he is instantly attacked by another creature from the water. Things are far too dangerous, and Jolly begins to wonder if there is a hidden test inside this world. He manages to defeat the beast, as he is glad that there was only one, but finds that his luck isn't that good when several more appear. Jolly barely manages to defeat them all, and he assumes that his Song Guardian counterpart must have already been eaten by blood beasts. We then watch as Bai walks around and complains about how things have been way too peaceful. It's been very strange, as he hasn't seen a single blood beast. He plans to stay on guard though, as he knows that Sumei's guardian could appear at any time. He is then welcomed by some plants, and Bai can't help but think how friendly the world is being towards him, but we see that Jolly has sensed Yi Zhang's presence. Yi Zhang keeps walking around, but is attacked by what he deems is clearly the killing move of a late-stage Foundation Establishment cultivator. Yi Zhang demands that his opponent reveal himself, but Jolly doesn't want to be spoken to like that by a mid-level Earthly Foundation Establishment cultivator. Yi Zhang points out how cowardly it is for someone with a higher level than him to use a sneak attack, and demands he come out once more. Jolly does just that, as he vows to slaughter the insignificant nobody that Yi Zhang is. Before he can land his attack though, Yi Zhang says out loud that people like him should be struck by lightning, and it surprisingly happens. The two opponents are both equally confused, so Yi Zhang tries it again. Jolly is struck once more, but he isn't willing to give up no matter what tricks Yi Zhang has. Jolly prepares another attack, but pauses, and Yi Zhang commands lightning to strike him down again. Jolly summons a shield to protect himself just in time, and proclaims that even if the heavens are helping Yi Zhang, he is not afraid. He is determined to kill Yi Zhang, but is struck several more times and sent flying away. Yi Zhang wonders if his cultivation has reached a level not even he is aware of, a level giving him the ability to decide life or death with a single word. Thanks for watching part 19, 6,000 likes and I'll know you want a part 20. Also, all other parts are in a link comment below.